Kristen's Cricut Corner. Today I'm going to be showing you how I customized my own indoor herb garden and made individual labels for each pot along with a cute sign above it that says Herb Garden. I'm going to show you today in Cricut Design Space what fonts I used and the sizing that I used if you want to replicate this same project. So first you want to open up Cricut Design Space and click on a new project, and then the first thing you want to click on is text. Here at the bottom, then you want to type in all capitals, herb, and let's just do the words individually. It makes it a little bit easier. So now if you highlight the herb and then you highlight it up here, then you click on font. I downloaded this font from dafont.com, and I have another video if you want to check it out on how to download fonts from Dafont and get them imported into Cricut Design Space. So this one I have already done. It's called Magic Leaf. And if you have it in all capitals, then every letter will have a little leaf on it, which I thought was really cute. And so that was the font that I used, but feel free to use any font that worked for you. For my space, I really have a pretty big wall where I have this, so I wanted it to fill up as big as I possibly could. So I went ahead and just sized it to the 12 inches, and actually it will only really let you, for vinyl cutting, it will only let you go to 11.5. So I want to go ahead and just stop at the 11.5. You can slide it over a little bit to make sure you get the most out of your space, but I went ahead and did 11.5. I also did make it just a tiny bit bigger, longer, so then what you can do here is you can unlock this button and you can drag this down, and I made mine a little over 5 inches. And then 11.5 you need to stop at, or else it will tell you that your borders are out of line, and then it doesn't work, or it can cut off your letters, which you don't want. Okay, so then I have my sizing for my herb, and then the next thing you want to click on is text one more time and type in garden. And the same font will come up. So I use the same font for both. I did find a really fun font with some flowers and stuff kind of coming off the bottom, but it ended up taking up a lot of space, and the letters were super tiny, so I decided to keep them the same. So again, I'm going to make it 11.5 wide. Oops. And then I'm going to unlock mine again, and I'm going to fill up pretty much my as much as I possibly can. So I went ahead, if I pull it too big, then I don't like the way it looks. So I went ahead and kept it around almost at 4 inches. And then I'm going to go ahead and lock that. I went ahead also and added in some ladybugs, and let me show you how I did that. So I also downloaded the ladybug wingding font from dafont.com for free for personal use, as long as you're not trying to sell this. But I wanted to show you how I did that. So I went to text, and I went through and I just typed in all of the letters so I could see which ones I wanted, and then you highlight it, and then here, and then you go to system, and it was way at the bottom. I cannot remember what it was called, so we will find that out in a moment. It is, there's cats and dogs. I guess that maybe it wasn't as down as I thought. There are other ways that you can go and pick which ladybug that you want. You can also go back to dafont.com and you can look and see what there it is. It's called Ladybug Dings. Easy enough. and to figure out which ladybug that you like. But anyway, this is how I do it without having to go back to the website. And then what I would do is I just would erase a couple at a time and be like, no, I didn't like those. And I ended up actually using, I believe it was this one and that one. So I'm going to go ahead, so G and J. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and for these two little guys, I'm going to click up here on group and that will separate them. And I had one of my ladybugs sitting here on the E. And then for this one, I wanted her to actually, okay, you have to actually unlock it to be able to drag her this way. I wanted her to sit up here. I'm just going to move my herb down. I wanted her sitting up here on the B. So I just kind of made her look like she was landing on there. And that was about the size that I liked. So you have to lock and unlock if you want to flip them or rotate them. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring my herb back to where it was. Okay, so why I'm putting the ladybugs inside here is really to utilize as much of the space as possible for printing. You really waste a lot of vinyl when you're doing the lettering. So instead of putting, I could put the ladybugs below garden because I did not use the entire 12 inches. If I do that, then I'm going to actually waste a lot more. So I am about utilizing everything possible. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my ladybugs in here because then I can still take them off and place them where I want afterwards. The next thing that I need to do, because if I go to hit make it right now, it's going to have everything all messed up. Well, okay, the words are fine on this one, but the ladybugs again are down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit cancel. And then I'm just going to highlight, just kind of drag your left arrow and drag, or you can click up here, which will say select all. And then if you hit down here, weld, then that will actually make everything stay where it is, and it's not going to try to rearrange it to make it the most efficient when it's cutting. And then when you click over here, you'll be able to see that it's over here. So, okay, up here, at least one of your images is larger than 11.5, cancel. So I must have gone over. Oh, my garden looks like it's still a tiny bit bigger, too big. So it's very picky and it will let you know. So you don't have to be too worried if you don't get it right. It will tell you, and it will show that it's a 12 by 24 if that's the case, and it will have it turned the other way. Right now I only have 12 inch by 12 inch vinyl, so that's what I'm going to use. And yeah, so I wanted to show you, and then we're ready to print. So I will show you what it printing and kind of what it looks like and how to weed for this specific project. Okay, so then you just hit continue, and then we are ready to print. so now we have our cutout pattern. This is Herb Garden. So the next step is going to be, I have some clear contact paper that I just cut to fit over the lettering. So the first thing you do is take it off the mat. And then you want to stick this on there. Okay, so now I'm going to start weeding my vinyl. So I'm going to start first by peeling up this corner here. Just kind of move my way over. It's coming off. I had my settings on premium vinyl lettering, and it does seem to be peeling off pretty well. Do my ladybug up here. That was a little bit small. Antenna is the tricky part. The rest is peeling off nicely. Get the corner started, and then it sticks nicely. That's good. Okay, now I have my letters weeded. Now I'm going to be sticking, I just have a clear transfer paper. So I'm going to be sticking on the top. A little bit at a time and just smooth it down. I will say this, I really love this font, but the leaves and the little ladybug pieces are so tiny. They were very tricky to get weeded, but just took time, but I got it. I think it turned out good. So now I'm going to also do on the back. And this does help help it come off of a white sheet a little bit easier. Okay, and then here we go. All we need to do is peel the back off. And then we're ready to place it on the wall. You can see how well overall this is coming off. Almost there. And there we go. So now we have it ready to place on the wall, right above our herb garden. Okay, so now I'm gonna put up herb garden. I prepared this, so I had made a mark here, the center where I wanted it, and then I put a line horizontal here with a level, so I make sure that the lines are straight. And then I also took a dry erase marker and drew a line here so I can get my lines straight. So I'm gonna do herb. I'm gonna do them a little bit further apart. And so I'm just gonna find my lines. The next thing I'm going to be showing you is the font that I used and kind of sizing for the outside of the pots that I used for the herb garden. I went ahead and just on Amazon bought a variety pack of herbs and just kind of spread them out based on how many pots that I ended up having that I needed to be filled, so that you guys can customize to your guys' needs. So I do have a couple of repeats because I had a lot more pots and not enough different kinds of herbs that I wanted to plant, so I went ahead and just split the seeds up. But I just wanted to show you just how very simply how this can be put together. So all you need to do is hit text. You can do one of two things. You can type all of your herbs in at one time and then separate them into words, or you can type each one in individually. It really doesn't matter. It probably will take about the same amount of time, but I'm just going to do a few things real quick, and I'm just going to show you a couple on how you can separate them if you do choose. So I've just picked a few here, and I wanted to show you the font that I used is called Kalim. Again, I did also get this one specifically also off of dafont.com. So if you just type that into the top on dafont.com, again, it's a free font that you can get, or you can use one of the ones that came with the Cricut within the program. So if you decide to type in all of your herbs at once, it's going to come in on a really big long line. All you need to do is highlight it and then hit ungroup. That is going to make every single letter individual. So you can move every single one, which you probably don't want to do because then it's not going to line them up the right way. So then don't touch anything else except for now you want to hold down your left mouse, your left button, and then highlight the words. So summer savory. So I highlight that one specifically and then I hit group there. And now this one is as all together as one word. And then I do the next one. Oops, that took the T. So you just want to highlight the ones that you want. And then I kind of move them aside as I go, just to get them out of the way. Time here, dill, and then group, and then mint, group. Okay. Now, if I decided, okay, this is about right, honestly, I did end up keeping the sizing very similar. Summer savory was a very long word, and that was going to be 6 inches. I wasn't going to be able to see it very well, so I went ahead and made that one a little bit smaller because it was such a long word. But the rest I pretty much kept the same. I think I made dill just a little bit bigger just because it's a smaller word. But most of them I kept the same, about 1 inch wide and then however long it was. But anyway, if you do not weld all of these together, I will show you what it will look like. So when you go to hit make it, it is going to mess up. It's like down here you have a whole bunch of MMMMM, AARRU, EEEEE. So all these words. Some of these are in order because I had welded them before I printed, but that is what you need to do. So you definitely do not want to try to place all of these in a row on your herb garden things. So in order to fix that, you want to hit cancel. And then all you need to do is once you're sure you have all of the lettering and everything's good, then you can either highlight it or you can hit the button up here, shortcut, select all, and then you just hit weld. Once you hit weld, you can hit group, but it still is not going, it's still going to print in the most efficient way, so you're not going to keep the words together. Once you hit weld, you cannot make changes. You cannot you might be able to undo it initially, but then if you want to go back after you save the project, this project, you cannot go back and undo the weld. So just beware that once it's welded, unless you undo it right away, it is permanently welded. But that will allow it to stay in that same exact order for printing. So now if you go to look at it, now all of these words are in order. So when you print them and you weed out the top and leave the letters on the white, they're going to be perfectly spaced and lined up the way you're ready to put them on the outside of the herb garden. So that is just a tip to make sure that you weld it beforehand. If you don't want to have to be looking for individual letters, which I will tell you that is definitely a pain in the butt. I also just, this little one down here is saying that it's a longer, I did that because I had welded this previously and the font was not showing up, so that's why that ended up showing up saying that it was bigger than a 12 inch by 12 inch. But just keep your borders the same, within 11.5 inches for the Cricut to print it effectively and not cut off any letters. You definitely don't want to have to reprint just for one letter. And then just make sure your settings on your Cricut are on vinyl before you print. But yeah, that is the font that I use. There's all kinds of really fun fonts out there, so get creative and enjoy this project. gonna do, so I have, so I can save the vinyl that's not being used, I'm gonna cut the bottom off here. And that way you can save this for future projects. You could at least use the top half pretty easily. And then the next thing we're gonna do, it's hard to see the wording on there, but I'm gonna now put the clear film on here. And what I'm gonna do to help remove, or to get it to stick nice and tight, is after you lay it flat on there, is I use this. You can use the one that comes in the Cricut kit. This I got for $1 at the dollar store. But if you use that and press it down nice and firm on the front and the back, it will make the weeding go a lot easier. Because there's a lot of small letters for this, because I have a lot of herb names for the herb garden that I'm using, so it will take me a fair amount of time to get that weeded out. But if you press that down, it will make this process go a lot easier. Okay, as you can see, I finally got everything weeded, including all the insides of all the letters. Definitely took a while to get all of them in. Or removed. Definitely takes a lot of patience, and it really is helpful to have tools with very tiny points, especially when you're only working with 1 inch lettering at a time or smaller. It definitely very fragile, very tedious work, but it's worth it in the end. So next I'll be showing you how to apply it to the herb garden pots. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to apply the vinyl lettering. So what I did is, when I went to plant all of these, I just did a dry erase marker before I made my label, so I knew which one they were. So I just erased that with a dry towel and make sure the front is nice and clean. And since it printed with all of these very close together, I went ahead and took the parchment paper and just kind of tore them in little shreds. So only one was being exposed at a time. And then I just get it as centered as possible. The much longer words are rounded, so it's a little bit more difficult. But then all you have to do is just get it centered, press, and then peel away. If it doesn't stick, just redo that. Okay, and then now to the next one. And then for my last row, I just use the straight edge to make it easier so they don't stick, the wrong ones don't stick to it. Just want to get it as centered as you can. Press firmly. And then slowly peel away the paper. And then we just have 2 more left. This one here. It's trickier, so I'm going to do like lemon first. So I'm just going to kind of keep the balm up. Just because it's rounded, it wants to pull it up to the top. So I'll do the lemon and then pull that off and then redo the balm and then just leave a little bit of a gap there. There we go, and then our very last one. You can see it goes pretty quick and is fairly easy to apply. And then there's our last one. And then I'll show you our herb garden sign and then our finished product. Okay, I wanted to also show you what the these herb garden looked like before I installed them. So they come in sections of 3. And then down here, it actually, the water drips into the ones below it so that the water doesn't stay stagnant. There are, the holes here have, for the bottom level, have plugs. The ones for the top have these little things that you can stick in there over the holes for filters so that the dirt doesn't go down into them. And they also have these little inserts that you put into each one. And all you have to do is just put a little bit of dirt and plant your seeds. And then you just have your screws and then you just alternate them here. And then this kit also comes with a very cool drip set, a drip line set. So if you have this outside or if you have a place that you can hook up to water, you can run it along the top and cut it and hook it up to a water source, and it will drip down on the top level, and then it will continue to water the previous layers below it. So just wanted to let you know that is how I installed my indoor herb garden, but it also works for outdoor. Thank you. So this is the final product. We've got our herb garden, everything is labeled, and then above here we have our grow light that we're ready to turn back on. And there we go. That is your DIY herb garden.